Hey guys, it's Adam here from the Danger Planet. We got a special video for you today. This is a report of a tournament that was held over at Haven Games and Hobbies in Enfield, Connecticut. It was 3 rounds of various different gaining grounds, primarily trying to mess around with grading against 3 setups. It was a double masters event that had the play experience of both Brandon, going through with Neverborn, and going through with Sam using ESS. We made this one extra special for you guys, so we hope you enjoy it.
Well, I'm playing Explorer Society, and I think this is only the second tournament I've declared ES at. So I'm, hoping I can play on this in a snappy way, not forget what my models do, and just keep a steady pace. Well, I think I'm probably just going to be running Nexus 2 the whole event with second master either McCabe or Yedza. So I don't think that. I guess one of the Nexus kids.
Okay, reasonable. Reasonable.
Well, so round one, I'm either going to do Pandora and Dreamer Zoraida. Maining Pandora and then either Dreamer or Zoraida, depending on which one they ban. Or I'm just going to run Nekama in the first round, and then every round after that, I'm pretty much going to declare Pandora and then have either Dreamer or Zoraida be my second master. That just seems like the call. In the second round, I might not do that, and I might default just because we have cursed objects, but. I'm not really sure. We're gonna play it by ear. I might use the lunch break to sort of chat about what my options are and think about it. But I brought almost all of Neverborn. I brought Zoraida. I only brought Zoraida. I didn't bring any of her keyword because I'm only gonna take her as a second master. I brought Pandora. I brought Dreamer. I brought Nekama. I brought the Puppet Crew. I brought like 2 other ones that I can't remember at the moment. But yeah.
Okay.
So that's where we're at.
Yeah, that should be good enough. Thank you very much.
Okay, well, my opponent was kind of a newer player. I didn't realize that. I thought I started to ask some like probing questions at the beginning to figure out how experienced he was. And he said he'd been playing for a while, but it turns out he'd been playing kind of pickup games for a while. This was his first tournament, so I think he was not quite ready for the Nexus 2 McCabe 2 list, which is really savage. So basically, turn 1, I pushed my dudes up. I managed to, you know, have a little cheeky like positioning with the Night Silk. He charged in, he engaged me turn 2, but he wasn't able to engage super strongly. He had only really one mature that could get slammed in there, and I had the red joker in my hand, so I could force it to miss once. And it hit once, and he actually flipped a severe on the negative twist, I think, which was pretty nasty. That was the other one. This one he flipped a weak, which is still, you know, 3 damage. But I was able to pick up pretty quickly a Black Blood Shaman, and I was able to pick up a young before it could grow, which was really important. And I actually did that again later in the game. I picked up a young on like turn 3 before it could grow. But so turn 2 was just a really bloody turn. I lost a Shambling Nest because he flipped this. This is where he flipped the severe on the minus twist. But, you know, it was a Shambling Nest. He also executed it, and I was like, I'm not going to spend a card to keep a Shambling Nest alive at 2 health when it's engaged with a mature. So I just let it die. But the damage to some of my other guys. But in trade for that, I killed the young, I killed the shaman, and I killed the blood hunter, because McCabe was able to get in there and just start like absolutely murdering things with his whip. And I was able to keep good card velocity going. And then I was also able to score, this strat pretty consistently. Turn 2, I was able to score breakthrough using a Shambling Nest, because I was able to just make it significant with secret mission. And then turn 3, he went early with, something. I don't remember what he went early with, but he wasn't able to finish off any of my models. I think he went early with Nekema to try to like do some stuff to McCabe, but like Nekema 2 isn't that dangerous in melee, and McCabe 2 is pretty tanky, especially when he's got relics on him. So I was then able to just quickly pick up a mature before he could do anything with it, so he killed one before it activated. His other mature went and really mangled the Night Silk, but brought it down to 1. And then the Night Silk was able to finish, first get disengaged out, and then I was able to blow up the mature by hitting it with a Nexus Kid, and I was also able to have the Night Silk kill one of his other Black Blood Shaman and in a position such that I could score Deathbeds. So I picked up Deathbeds, picked up both matures and the second Black Blood Shaman. And so he had the Noxious left, which was way off on its own. He had Nekema, and he had a young Nephilim, which was originally a Tot he had summoned. But he wasn't quite able to pick up enough corpses with it to grow, and so I was able to just activate I don't remember what killed it, just something else. It killed like on turn 4, just activated and just like picked it up quick before it could grow. And then McCabe just hit what was like mangling Nekema basically in his control area, or in his deployment area. And I eventually just finished her off with the Archivist. So at that point it was basically just mopping up. I lost over the course of the game one Shambling Nest, and I took a bunch of damage on other models, but nothing fatal. And I just tabled his crew except for the Noxious. So it was a pretty one-sided game, I think.
Man, you tried to ask him before. That's all you
I did.
Yeah, you did good trying to ask him. You tried to do the polite thing.
I did.
You
I
tried to
tried.
do the polite thing.
He had one mature that he hired, and he was definitely going to have a second mature like immediately. And those things can like really tear through my list extremely quickly. Those things are really dangerous. So I was a little concerned that I needed to sort of stem the bloodshed of the matures pretty quickly. I mean, I think I did fine. Like Nexus 2 is a pretty easy unpack. Like, you know, you're drawing a bunch of cards, you're pushing people around to play things. I don't think there's that much that can go wrong. I mean, probably just McCabe like getting up there and absolutely like schlonking people. I think that the Night Silk actually did a really good job. He survived at 1. He did stat 7, so he hit people a lot. He absorbed a lot of mature Nephilim attacks without dying. I had some good cheats. And then you can't cheat when you're attacking them, so the fact that he was stat 7 helped a lot.
Yeah, so round 1, I yeeted everything up the board. The Lone Marshal killed the Black Blood Shaman, but after he had pulsed out focus, and then I killed the Scribe and sort of ran everybody in. Round 2, he sort of was very hampered by my dudes, and I killed another model, but he killed a mature. after it had activated, and then round 3, he killed the other mature, and I killed basically everything that was. He had like Barrel Lucius and like Lone Rider and a Lone Marshal and like one other guy, and I think, oh, and then the Barrel in the very last activation of the game punched my mature to death, which, like, you know, what's it gonna do? But he ran in to tie him up from preventing me from losing the game by him scoring a second point on breakthrough. So yeah, that was pretty crucial. But that was sort of the breakthrough round by round. So I think that had the game finished rounds, what is almost certainly to happen is we would have ended 8-7 me or 7-7. But yeah, great game. Austin was a great opponent, and I had a lovely time.
Excellent. Cool.
Yeah, so I mean, not really. He was taking Lucius 1. No, sorry, Lucius 2. He was taking Lucius 2. I'm not really worried about Lucius 2. He's like really aggressively D tier. And I know him because he's also a Neverborn master. So I had some experience against the crew. I played the crew a little. The only thing that I think I was worried about was Lucius blipping into me in the first turn and killing and, like, you know, going very early, like first activation, first turn, and then getting me. But that didn't happen, so we were fine. I was a little aggressive with my Black Blood Shaman, and he died on turn 1. But I took out the Scribe in exchange, and then sort of just my whole crew was in combat with him. And then, like, we were on model parity basically the whole time. And with the game ended 4-4 in a draw. We both got two strats. We only got to turn 3 before we ran out of time. We both had 2 strats and 1 point from each scheme. I took Breakthrough and Vendetta, and he took Breakthrough and Claim Jump. And I sort of punted a Claim Jump denial, and that is really what cost me the game. I thought I had him in case he did Claim Jump, but Nekoma was like half, but not even like a quarter inch too far up the board. Yeah, I mean, Nekoma's a really easy crew to unpack. There's no rules, you just shoot everything forward. It is probably one of the easiest unpacks in the game because everything flies. So I flew with me Hinamatsu. She did some fucking crazy damage on the first round, although he stoned and red jokered prevention. So, you know, there's only so much you can do up against that, but I don't know. Like Nekoma, obviously, because she's a crazy murder machine. She's really good. The young Nephilim scored me my point on Vendetta and scored me one of my symbols. They're really good schemers, but they are deceptively damagey because they have a 2-4-5 melee track with a built-in plus flip and like decent triggers. So, you know, they have a lot going for them. They're only stat 5, which isn't great, but with the built-in plus flip, it's really ballin'. So probably my young Nephilim, the one that I took.
All right, so this was a very killy round. The strategy was cursed objects, the one where you are killing your opponent's models and discarding cursed tokens from them to score points. And the pool of schemes was Assassinate, Vendetta, Let Them Bleed, Hidden Martyrs, and In Your Face. So it was the absolute killiest possible pool, and that was deliberate. So I was playing Cadmus 2 with McCabe 2 as a second master. And my opponent was playing Von Schill 1. And the game ended with a victory to me, 8 points to 3. I took Vendetta with Kavatica against his Librarian, and I took Assassinate on Von Schill. And he took In Your Face and Hidden Martyrs, and he scored 1 point on each of them and 1 point on the strike.
So what was the final score again?
8-3 in my favor. My list has a lot of models that have to get kind of close to each other, and the fact that he has that rocket launcher with tons of blasts could have really ruined my day. I kind of actually lucked out there a little bit.
You want to tell us about that?
Yeah, on 2 successive turns, he shot at my Nightsoul Creeper with a rocket launcher, and on 2 successive turns, I flipped the red Joker on defense, which was pretty sweet. I think that the Nightsail Creeper is not the best target for that because the Nightsail Creeper has a high defense stat and is also hard to wound, so it's very hard to get above a weak damage against them. And if you're getting a weak damage, the blasts you're dropping are only 1 point of damage each, and my crew has a very strong ability to incidentally heal 1 point damage. So at one point he was able to drop a rocket launcher on me for moderate damage, which dealt 4 to the Creeper and 3 each to I think 4 other models in my crew. So he dealt 16 damage with a single attack. That was really good, but he couldn't close the deal after that. Well, again, I think it's not a very difficult unpack. It's pretty much plays itself. It was on wedge deployment, so we were in each other's faces very quickly. The thing I think I did well in the early turns is I prioritized putting out parasite tokens. So I had a parasite token each on the Draken Trooper and Auric Shothammer at the end of turn 1, which made it much easier to kill them on turn 2. And I was also able to get the Saber on McCabe, and he just double walked after he got the Saber and the mask, because all he needed to do was get up there so that he could start killing things with that min-3 ignoring armor and shielded. It was McCabe. He did an enormous amount of damage. Almost every attack he took hit, and almost every attack he took drew me a card because of Know the Warrior. And so I was hitting, I was cheating in Severes, I was then drawing cards, and he was hitting on these min-3s, ignoring the Frycore armor. He did more damage than the whole rest of my crew combined. I mean, I think that I was a little scared in round 2 because he got initiative every round because he had pass tokens. My crew was a lot bigger than his. I was a little scared, especially turn 2. He had flipped or cheated all 4 13s in the top 15 or so cards of his deck. So he had a pretty strong opening on turn 2 and did a lot of damage to me. That's when he did the 16 damage with 1 attack. But beyond that, after I was able to start, the big thing I think that I did is turn 2, I was able to get Auric down to 1 hit point and within the Life Leech aura, so I didn't even have to worry about him. He was just gonna die when he activated, and he did. He activated and he died, and that's a 10-point model. They got to take 1 activation all game.
That's brutal.
Yeah, it was pretty rough.
Hello, I'm Brandon. So I played Nekama 1 for the 2nd round in a row because and my opponent played Yanlo 2. No, it was great. I played Jin. He was a great opponent. We had a lot of fun. So I took Hidden Martyrs and In Your Face, and I ended up scoring In Your Face by killing Emmeline Bellerose, which is the Alt Madam Sybil, next to both Nekama and Yanlo, and then I ended up taking Hidden Martyrs on my Black Blood Shaman and my Young Nephilim, and I didn't score the first half of it, but I did score the second half by, at the very end of the game, running my Young Nephilim into Manos' engagement range, but I had to charge him with Nekama and declare a shove-aside trigger to push him an extra 4 inches because I would have been short if I didn't do that. So I had to do some crazy shit to make up for my blunder in the early round, but we got it, and then we were playing cursed objects, and I cursed 3 of his objects, and he only cursed 2 of mine, which is where I made the point back, because my opponent took also In Your Face, and he In Your Faced with Manos killing a mature Nephilim, and then a what you call it there, and then getting Manos in my deployment zone, and then he took Assassinate, which he scored 1 point off of because Nekama got down to 6 health because I was dumb, and Assassinate was in the pool, and I shouldn't have let that happen. I should have stoned to prevent, but the big sort of blunder in the first round, like the first round I marched in and killed the dog and an Ashigaru, and then in the second round I used Nekama to run in, bring 2 models down to 1 health and pulse out her Black Blood with her bonus action to kill basically the rest of his minions. So he had no minions with Yanlo 2 going on from round 3 on, which was obviously Yanlo was severely crippled. He could do nothing basically. He could twist reality at people and he like killed Hinamatsu and stuff, but I sort of had control of the game, and then I almost myself out of points. But in the end, I managed to do some nonsense and get it back. So I managed to squeak the win out by 1 point.
So your point total was what?
6-5.
There we go.
Well, Yanlo. Yanlo is probably the best master in the entire game right now, and I've never beaten him before.
Oh.
So I am happy to have put that under my belt. I think that this was a really good chance to do it. And now that I sort of understand, I guess, how to play against him, he did take a lot. He had 4 models with extended reach because his list ended up being Manos, Emmeline Bellerose, Yanlo the Soul Porter, and then 3 Ashigaru. And there was a Grave Spirit's Touch on Emmeline Bellerose and also on Manos. So I was basically... oh, and the Komenu, I'm sorry, and a Komenu, and the Grave Spirit's Touch wasn't on Manos, it was on the Komenu. So I knew that I had to kill the minions immediately, and I did that, but yeah, the Ashigaru I was a little worried about because the 3 Ashigaru and Manos all have extended reach, which means that I can't charge them, but getting them down to their hard to kill limit and then pulsing Black Blood to kill multiple models in a single activation, a single quick action with Nekama was absolutely 100% the key to victory. It was, and that being able to use their bonus action move, Fly With Me, to move my models to get them into position so that I could either walk and attack them, or I could just Fly With Me into their melee, into my 2-inch melee range, and then attack the dudes. That's how I killed the Ashigaru. It would not have been possible if I didn't have a bunch of flying fast with models, but Nekama is particularly well poised to do so. Oh, Nekama, absolutely 100%. Nekama pretty much always is. I mean, the Black Blood Shaman played a really good support role because I was trying to get him killed because he was a hidden martyr, because he was trying to get him killed, he could run up the field, and he kept running, landing on corpse markers and pulsing out focus, providing focus to Nekama and the mature Nephilim that I had left, which is a really interesting way to use Black Blood Shamans. I don't think that's viable because they'll die. But in the case where they're hidden martyrs, I think it works out really well. So my hidden martyrs were a young Nephilim and a Black Blood Shaman for exactly 13 points.
So this was a very schemy pool. The strategy was the new Gaining Grounds 3 strategy, Carve a Path, where you push the payload markers. And the schemes were spread them out, leave your mark, which is the new one. It's like claim jump with a scheme marker in the center. Sabotage, Lugarken's Clover, which is one of the weird seasonal ones. It's the St. Patrick's Day scheme, and it basically involves picking 2 pieces of terrain and dropping markers in between them. And Set the Trap, which is about having enemy models near your scheme markers.
Okay.
So my opponent's crew were the Victorias, which was a little surprising to me because I don't think of them as the most schemy crew, and this was a very interact-heavy pool. But he's very mobile with their battle tempo ability. And I took Nexus too, obviously, and then because my opponent banned Wastrel, I took Yedza as my second master. So I played Yedza 1. And the reason I picked her is A, Lost Knowledge gives me card velocity and also eats my opponent's markers. And B, she does something that the Nexus crew really doesn't do, which is just pick an area of the table and say, no, you can't go here. And then I did something with my extra stones that I was a little interested in. I hadn't done this before. I took the Effigy and I gave it the upgrade that lets it turn into the Emissary. So the game ended in a 8-2 victory for me. It was a pretty solid game. I took Lugarken's Clover and Sabotage, and I was scrambling a bit. I just managed to score them both on turn 4, the first point, and then the second point on turn 5. Well, the Victorias themselves, they do a ton of damage, and my crew is pretty fragile. He had 3 Ronin and Taylor, and Big Jake and Vanessa. So my crew I'm surprised he didn't take the Emissary, who would have been very good in this pool. His crew had a lot of hard to kill and did a lot of damage, and my crew has small health pools and is fragile. He managed to charge one of my nests with a Victoria on turn 1 and do on a minus twist to damage, do a severe, so did 6 to it. And then the other shambling nest, she just killed, like immediately, turn 2, I think. So it was pretty, that build bore out, but his crew was very fragile, and he did not, I think, activate the Vix early enough turn 2. And so one of the Victorias, before she got to activate turn 2, Kavatica just ate her. because I had knocked her down way low turn 1. He had flung her in, and I had spent the high cards in my hand to knock her down a bit. So I just, she had 2 health left, so I just walked. I mean, she had a Parasite token on her, so like she could have been defense 4 effectively. So Kavatica just activated and killed her. And that was good. And then he could have activated the second Vic immediately, but instead he activated some other models. And so what I did was I did a combination of attacks and then Yedza's Plenty of Wares, because Yedza has this 6-inch aura that says if you take damage, or if you would heal, an enemy model would heal in Yedza's aura, they take damage instead. So I did Plenty of Wares with the Ram trigger, cheated in a Severe to heal, and healed his Vic for 4, which damaged her for 4. And that, along with the damage she already took, knocked her down to 1 before she activated. And then I was just saying, whatever, you're in Yedza's aura. She has a rule that says if you are at 4 health or less and you activate in her 6-inch bubble, you heal 1. And she also has a rule, as I said, that the first healing an enemy model takes each activation is damage. So what would have happened is the Vic would have activated, healed for 1, and instantly died. And he had used all of his stones already. He had none left to prevent the damage. And surprise, that's what happened. So both Vics died on turn 2 before either one got to take a second activation.
All right, fair enough.
That's actually a tricky question. I think, nah, it's Yedza. Yedza did so much. She healed my own models. She drew me so many cards. She handed out a bunch of staggered with the trigger on Lost Knowledge. She just did a ton of stuff. Like, she took the center of the board and said, you aren't going to be able to have fun here.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so we just finished the tournament. I just finished my last round. It was the craziest game of Malifaux I've ever played in my life. I played against Perdita 2. I was playing Dreamer 2 and Pandora 2, and we ended in a 1-1 tie. So I took Leave Your Mark, which I think is the new claim jumpy thing, and then I also took the one where you need to have a ski marker within 2 inches of 3 different models, and I scored exclusively a point for Leave Your Mark. No strat points for Carpet Path. My opponent took also the one where you have to have ski markers near 3 different models. He did not score that. He also took the one for have markers in my opponent's deployment zone or something like that. I don't really remember. But he didn't score that either, and he took 1 point for Carpet Path because he kicked one out in the last round, which was wild. Yeah, basically it was a Perdita crew versus a Dreamer crew, and I made his life very difficult. He tried to do stuff and it didn't work. It was Sabotage. He took Sabotage. So he did not have 2 or more friendly ski markers within 2 inches of the chosen terrain piece on my half. He had 1, and I ran my dude over there right as the last activation of the game, because we ended on turn 3, which is why the score was so low. But yeah, no one scored anything on the first round. It was wild. Nothing. Everything was terrible. I literally missed every attack and every flip that I tried to do. I guess Dreamer 2 is really good. So what you can do with Dreamer 2 is you can use his middle action, which is like an OK willpower duel, and look at the opponent's hand or the top 5 cards of their deck, discard some cards, and basically I just ended up for the rounds 2 and 3 activating Dreamer early, doing 9 damage by discarding 3 weak cards and killing Sly 6 shots and Santiago. I killed Santiago and Sly 6 shots with Dreamer just because. That was like all I had to do. Chompy sucked. I missed like all of my attacks with Chompy. Pandora didn't really do what she was supposed to do because I punted the activation. Yeah, it was not a great Dreamer game, but it was fun. You know, Carver Path is new and interesting, and I definitely did not understand how it worked. We actually forgot the whole time that we could do the interact for it while engaged. We just didn't do that at all. So we played a wildly different game than was actually reasonable. We just decided not to use the strat. Hi, I'm Brandon. Welcome to the Danger Planet. Oh, were we not doing that part? Oh,
yeah,
shit.
that'll be at a different point. Go. Okay.
Wild. Did I answer all the questions?
I mean, in a way more jumbled format. Yeah, I guess.
Nope. Okay. Okay.
All right, go ahead.
Ready? Hi, I'm Brandon. Welcome back to the Danger Planet. I'm on tonight, and my hips don't lie, and I'm starting to feel it's right.
Now that Sam and Adam, oh damn, this sucks. Adam, don't listen to me.
I can
Now that Adam and
totally
Brandon
hear
were
you. By
gone,
the way, I think
Sam
this thing has like a
could narrate
really
his own
huge
life
range.
in the manner that he chose to do at all times. Normally, Sam does this almost 24/7, but because he's not lavalier mic'd, nobody's aware of it. Sam reached down and turned off his lavalier mic, knowing that Adam would not be able to continue hearing him because his mic was now thoroughly turned off and it wasn't recording. Sam proceeded to begin confessing all of his darkest, deepest secrets, including all of the different places in Brandon's house that he took crap. Brandon had only found some of them. Some of them he would probably never find. Sam was extremely clever. Sam also realized he hadn't checked his work email in like 24 hours. But it turned out he didn't have anything to his car. You're a thirsty boy, aren't you? Yeah, you drank up all that gas. You nasty thing.
No problem, man.
You know, I've been to this place like 30 times, and I've never eaten their food before.
Doug said LFG. I don't know what that means.
Let's fucking go.
Oh, excellent.
What?
It's nice.
Cool.
Is that stuff that you don't want on record or something?
Everything I just said needs to be on record. Everything that I was muttering to myself while I was mic'd up. I just talked about the different places in Brandon's house that have crap.
Yeah. I just leave it.
Well, you haven't found them all.
Yeah, I have.
No, I know you haven't found them all.
No.